Let's have a closer look at these two laptops. Do you see any difference between these and these? But if you're familiar with these MacBooks, then you realize that the most common thing between them, they're both MacBooks, but the smaller one is a MacBook Air, bigger one is the MacBook Pro. So right here today we have these two great machines. This is MacBook Air, as I said earlier. This is the MacBook Pro. So in this video, we're just going to do a comparison between the two so that we see which one is suitable for which purpose and which one should you buy in case you find yourself in a scenario whereby you're tasked between deciding going for a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro. So first thing first, let's just have a look at the comparison between their ports. So if you place this on top of the Pro, and you can see the difference, you realize that the MacBook Air is a bit slimmer than the Pro. Let's have a look at the side ports. At the sides, let's have a look at these ports first. The ports on the right hand side. So on the right hand side, as you can see, the side-by-side comparison of the ports. So on the MacBook Air, the one on top, we have USB Thunderbolt port here. We have a single USB port here, 2.0, and then SD card slot. But on the MacBook Pro, we have, first thing is the USB port, we have HDMI port, and we have this SD card slot on this side. While on this other side, let's have a look at the other side. So on the left hand side, let's have a comparison of the ports. So first thing first, you can see on the Air we have the charging port, which is also available on the MacBook Pro, just on the same side. Second, you have the USB port. So the MacBook Air has two USB ports, one on this side, the other is on the other side. Then we have this audio jack. For the Pro, we have two USB Thunderbolt ports, which the Air had only one on the other side, and then you have USB port and the audio jack. So just from the outlook, there's one thing you've noticed, that the MacBook Air doesn't have HDMI port. So instead you'll have to use the Thunderbolt port, which was on this side, this Thunderbolt port here. You'll have to use this port here for display. I hope you can see the port clearly, even if it's not as clean as possible. So you have the port clear. So the first port just here, this is the port that you use for display. This is a USB-C port that usually uses the converter that has an HDMI side on the other end, and you can put it for a display port, either a TV or either something else. So that's how the outward look is. So let's just have a side look. You can see how slim it is, the MacBook Air. Very slim, and very light. Now the MacBook Pro is it's a bit heavy, not so heavy but a bit heavy, not as slim as the Air, but still stylish, something that you'll wish to have. So much on the outside. Let's now get to the keyboard side, on the screen side, and see the difference. So that's the MacBook Pro, sorry. I'm even confusing because now, and this is the MacBook Air. So what's the difference between these two? On the keyboard, you can see how the keyboard for the MacBook Air is. Everything, the lettering, configuration is almost the same as the MacBook Pro. Let me just zoom out. See, there's no major difference, but you'll notice a difference on the screen. Have a look at the screen of the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro. From the just a far view of the MacBook Pro screen, you realize it's just you sense something, that the screen is so glossy and somehow so dark, meaning that it has a nice display compared to the one on the Pro. So let's just power them on. We see the booting time speed, and then you'll get to see the specs, the properties of the two, and I'll tell you which one is suitable for which purpose and which one should you buy in case you have to buy one. So let me just power on this one. Just the power is right there on the keyboard. Same to this one, we have the power on the keyboard. So they're both turning on. As you can see, it took a longer time for the Air to turn on, but it all depends on the one you have because they're using different SSD cards. So the Pro is already on. I'll have to wait for the Air to power on. Let's give it some time because we're just about to do the comparison of the internal properties. Disclaimer, the one I'm using here, the Pro, is a Core i7, but the Air is a Core i5. So we won't majorly rely on the processor because the processors are different. But there's some aspects or features that are just differentiates between an Air and a Pro. Because in the market there's a i7 for Air, there's a i7 for Pro, there's i5 for Air, there's i5 for Pro. So the processor, you're not going to do a comparison of the processor right now, but the other aspects. I see it's taking so long for the MacBook Air to power on. So in the meantime, let's have a look at the properties of this Air. So if you are using a MacBook for the first time, if you want to see the properties of a MacBook, just navigate the cursor to where we have that Apple icon. Right click on it, then go to about this Mac. So if you're about the Mac, right here, you can see it uses an operating system macOS Catalina. So this is MacBook Pro Retina. See, 2012. The speed is 2.3 GHz, quad-core Intel i7, 8 GB of RAM. The speed is right there. Graphics, it uses an Intel HD graphics, 1.5 GB of graphics. Display, let's have a look at the display. So you can see the display here is 15.4 inch. Resolution is 2880 by 1800, which is quite sharp and very colorful. So if you're using this laptop for things like video editing and music production, you'll have a nice display. You'll have to get your colors right because the display is quite capable of producing sharp and original colors as you want them to be. For this, it comes with a storage of 256 GB SSD, which is something that is expandable. And remember, the RAM was 8 GB. So the RAM is 8 GB, but you can also expand it to 16 GB. There's one thing that is not showing here because it is not updated, but it comes with an NVIDIA graphics, 1 GB of NVIDIA graphics, dedicated graphic card, that is. And on this one here is already on MacBook Air. Let's have a comparison of the properties we have on the MacBook Air. So I'll have to give it time to power on. So on the MacBook Air, you can see this is where the camera is, while on the Pro, the screen covers, we call it frameless. Yeah, it's a frameless screen because it doesn't have this frame, this metallic frame that we have on the MacBook Pro. See how it is. So this one's a bit slow, sorry, it's still turning on. I'll have to give it some time. And there was also something here different. You can see on the MacBook Pro we have the speakers just right on top, but on the Air there's no ports for speakers, meaning the speakers are bottom. In sound system we call them down firing speakers, but these one are up firing speakers. So the MacBook Pro will produce very good quality sound because it directly hits your ears from this, while on the Air the sound quality will have to travel downwards then upwards later to reach you. So once again, if you want to see the properties of a MacBook, just navigate to the top left corner here, where we have the properties. Just come to about this Mac. Let's wait for the properties to display. So on the MacBook Pro, these are the default applications. You've not added any applications like the VLC, Chrome, any browser, video editing applications. The applications that you'll add from the MacBook Store, or you'll know where to find them. Just as the Air one, see the applications are there. Just similar application to the one that are on the Pro. It's only that the background theme is different, but the default apps you see here are the ones that you see here. Have a look. So we have our Air setup and the properties. So as you can see here, these are the properties. So the processor 1.8 GHz, a dual core processor, Core i5. Yeah. So the MacBook Air comes with a dual core processor of i5. We say that we are not going to compare the processing, especially the i5, i7, but this one is dual core, and on the Pro we have a quad core processor. Yeah, see the quad core processor, and they both have 8 GB of RAM. For the Air, it comes with an Intel HD 6000 graphics, 1.5 GB integrated, but it doesn't have doesn't come with a dedicated graphics like in MacBook Pro. So that's the major difference. In MacBook Pro you have a dedicated graphics, while on the Air you don't have a dedicated graphics. So for the display, let's compare the display resolution. You see the display resolution on the Air is 1440 by 900, 13.3 inch screen size, but on the Pro we have 2880 by 1800, meaning the display resolution on the Pro is twice as good as the one in Air. It has doubled the resolution on the Air. So definitely, if you're someone sensitive or you're doing a job that requires good coloring differentiation, then you'll go for a Pro. And if you're somebody who just wants a laptop that can handle your daily day-to-day task like browsing, maybe you want to relax, watch a movie, just the light duties, then you'll need the MacBook Air. And if you're somebody who wants a MacBook for serious work like video editing, music production, you can mention any other thing that you want to do with your machine, but something that is demanding, then you'll have to go for a MacBook Pro instead of Air. But if you're somebody who doesn't do all those quite demanding tasks, you just want a machine that is up to the task, will handle your daily day-to-day tasks with a good long-lasting battery, backlit keyboard you can use in the dark, just the same as on the Air. We also have the backlight keyboard, and if you want to turn on the backlights for any MacBook, just check for this icon that has those, it looks like sunlight, yeah, similar to here. We have the icon here, see. So this one is for increasing the brightness, this one is for lowering the brightness of the backlight, same to here. So we're almost getting to the end of this review. It has taken so long, but at least you've learned something. You can now differentiate between a MacBook Pro and a MacBook Air. Remember, once again, the MacBook Pro comes with a dedicated graphic card, which is not available on the MacBook Air. So if you're going to use the MacBook for heavy duty tasks, then go for the MacBook Pro. If you're going to use a MacBook for light duty tasks like writing, just browsing, researching, something with a good battery that can last you a day, then go for the Air. Now this is where the difference, another big difference is, the battery on the MacBook Pro lasts longer than the one on the Air, and that's mainly because for the MacBook Pro it has a bigger size and there's a bigger space for the battery compared to the one on the Air, which has a smaller, very slim, therefore the battery inside is very small with a lower capacity compared to the one on the Air. Otherwise, if you like the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment on some of the things you want me to improve on the next video, and on the review that you want me to do on the next video. See you next time. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video once again.